Last year, I ran a Kickstarter for a book that I have been working on for about 3 years called The City of Arches. And now that book is available for purchase on the Sly Flourish bookstore. The links are in the show notes to pick it up. We had about 4,000 backers of the Kickstarter who got access to both digital and physical versions of the book. The book is now available worldwide, digitally and physically. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time kind of diving, now that it's available for everybody, now that you can just buy it, I want to spend a little time kind of digging into it and talking about it. Also from the perspective of the fact that I've now been running a campaign in the City of Arches for about a year. So I've got a lot of experience having used this material at my own table for a long time, and many others have too. So what is the City of Arches? Why should you care? So the City of Arches is a high fantasy city source book for lazy game masters. It is built loosely around 5th edition rules. It actually uses the Level Up Advanced 5e system reference document as its sort of baseline reference, but it's easily modified into any fantasy role-playing game that you are using. Very, very lightweight on mechanics. Very easy to convert. Any mechanics that are there are very easy to convert to other systems. So it is not a truly system agnostic book, but it is highly system agnostic. I would say 95% of the stuff in this book you could use with any fantasy role-playing game. It is a source book focused around one particular city, a city called the City of Arches. The City of Arches is a city built upon ruins from a villain known as the Nameless King, who commanded over the city 1,000 years ago, about 2,000 years ago to 1,000 years ago, before he was cursed and banished from existence with a powerful curse. And the ruins of his city remain. And one of the aspects of the city are these arches, that there are arches all throughout the city that used to connect to many different worlds. Now those arches have kind of faded, the magic of the arches have kind of faded away, but every so often they will flare up, and sometimes a creature comes out of the arch from another world with no memory from which they came. They don't remember who they are or why they got here, and now they're in the city itself. There is a group known as the Archkeepers whose job is to introduce these creatures into the city and say, we know that you are scared, we know that you are confused, but you are safe and you are welcome, and we want to invite you to the city, and here's a nice basket with some artisanal cheeses and some fancy soaps and a towel. You can go to the baths, have a swim in the baths, and you'll feel better, and everything will be fine. And then they begin to live their new life in the City of Arches. But the city itself is built on endless ruins. There are depths, limitless depths below the city. There are ruins in the mountain behind the city, and there are great big regions around the city that are filled with opportunities for adventure. One of the things that I wanted to focus on very heavily in this book is the idea that like every location has a adventure hook. So when you actually start to get into the descriptions of these places, as you'll note that literally every one of them has this adventure hook. What is an adventure you could run about this one particular? You're at the city walls of the city. What is an interesting adventure that you could get involved with to involve the city walls? Right? Like everything has it. The Arch of Kings, the primary archway, there is a hook, an adventure hook about the archway itself. And then, the whole thing. The whole thing has beautiful artwork. This is the map of the city. We went with a much more abstract style, so it's not a direct, mile by mile version. The whole city and this entire book is designed for you to be able to drop it into any high fantasy campaign world. So if you already have a homebrew world that you're happy in, you can drop the city directly into your campaign world in one little spot and you're good to go. You can take the region around it and drop it in to your world. You can drop it into any high published world. It'll fit in Midgard. It will fit in Forgotten Realms, Greyhawk. Wherever you want to drop it, you can put the city in. This is something I learned when I did Ruins of the Grendelroot. I wanted to have an idea for a location that essentially was a single point in a larger campaign world. But inside that point was nearly infinitely big in the number of adventures you could run there, the depths of the ruins that could be there and everything else. And I took that same idea and brought it here, that there's actually these major locations right around the city. There's the Cliffs of the Dead. There's the Outer Reaches. There's Sunken Revia. There's the lower reaches. There's all these like layers above, beneath, and around the city that still make it one point in your campaign world, but you can build any of those out into essentially 20th level campaigns. You can grab pieces from it. You can have the characters jump from one piece to another, which is something I've been doing in my own game. You can have them run around a lot, and that way the whole place kind of expands outwards. So the book itself has a whole bunch of sort of different approaches to this. We have factions, we have NPCs. You can find it all in the table of contents. If you get nothing else from this video, the one thing I would ask, which is absolutely free, is to go check out the free sample. We have a free sample of the City of Arches on the books page. It is a great big 42-page sample. It's essentially a fourth of the whole book that is available. It includes the table of contents to show you everything it has. It's got major examples of all the specific stuff directly from the main book itself. So if you want to see this preview, by the way, it is a single click. You just go, you get it. I don't ask for an email address. You don't have to join anything. Just go take a look. And all I would ask, if you like it, come back and buy it, because I think it's a really, really fantastic book. I'm super proud of it. Very, very happy with this book. But this gives you a good feeling for all the stuff that it has. There are little breakout boxes. You'll see these little gray boxes that exist. And the gray boxes are designer notes from me to you. So these are really, rather than you having to kind of figure out what I was thinking about when I wrote this book or how to fit it into your own game, why don't I just explain it to you? So I have things like, how did we decide on the number of NPCs that we have here? If you're a lazy gamer, when we say that's a city source book for lazy GMing, what do we mean by that? What makes it easy for you to use? How do you understand adventure locations, right? What is the format for each adventure location, and what are you intended to get from it? Right? These little, where are the maps? Like, how come you don't have maps for things like the Cliffs of the Dead? How do you adjust the encounters that you might find in there? Breakout boxes all throughout. So I think that that's a really, it's part of the design that I was very happy to do. We started doing that. I saw that originally in 13th Age. And then myself and Scott Gray and Teos Abadia did it for Forge of Foes. And we like that too. So I was like, well, I definitely want to put that in here. So you have what I refer to as biomes, right? We have the City of Arches itself, the lower reaches, which is like the shady undercity, the Cliffs of the Dead, which is a whole area of cliffs and tombs behind the mountain, the Endless Warrens, which are natural caves that are filled with all kinds of layers, Sunken Revia, which is your like high-level ruined city that lies deep beneath this main city, the Vaults of the Nameless King, which is your tier 4, most powerful, most deadly locations in the city itself. And then we have an area called the Borderlands. And the Borderlands are like 3 major regions that exist outside of the city. The Reveland Marshes to the north, the Dorish Hills to the south, and the Deadlands to the west. And then, of course, because you have these arches, those arches connect to other worlds. So we have a chapter called Worlds Beyond the Arches, which includes descriptions of about 10 worlds, and then I think we have one larger description of a world called Arcus, the World of Dead Temples. The book contains campaign arcs, 3 different campaign arcs. Campaign arcs are loose descriptions of a campaign framework that you can use to build out your own campaign. They are not a full campaign adventure. This isn't like you bought a 192-page source book that describes every single detail. Instead, it describes, here's an arc that you could follow if you wanted to follow one of the arcs of these 3. But the interesting thing is you can actually merge some of these arcs together, which is exactly what I did. So one of the arcs is called the Key of Worlds. The idea here is there is one key that can open up all of the archways to any other world that the owner of the key wants. And there's a bunch of groups. There's at least one other group that's trying to recover this key, and a groups that want you to go recover it before anybody else does. And then you are kind of chasing throughout these various locations of the city to try to find the key to get it before the other group does. I ran this campaign for a year now with my Wednesday group. It was great fun. And they have traveled through the whole thing, and they actually recovered the key and destroyed it. They decided the key is too powerful for any one person to own, and they destroyed the key, which was really a fun, powerful ending. And then I jumped from that arc. I wanted to keep the campaign going because I've been enjoying it. So I jumped from that arc to the next arc, which is the Return of the Nameless King. The idea that there is a group that is trying to bring this super powerful entity back from being banished and put them back into power again. And that is a full 1st to 20th level campaign. But I was able to kind of just jump in the middle of it because these things are very modular. So even though I ran a whole other campaign arc for the Key of Worlds, I was able to very easily jump and pick ideas from the other one, basically saying a lot of this had already been happening while the characters have been working on the key. And then we have a third campaign arc called Collision of Worlds, in which a super powerful entity from like a realm beyond mortality has become aware of the life that exists around here and is making its way down to the world to destroy all life on the planet. I'm a big, alien sentient moon is like one of my favorite bad guys. And so this is the alien sentient moon one. And this is another arc about the cult that is trying to bring this entity into the world and who's bringing in and the powerful creatures that act as anchors that are sort of drawing this creature into the world and what the characters can do to get involved there. So those are the three campaign arcs. The book has several small adventures that you can run, the smallest of which is actually in the sample. And it is the intro to the City of Arches. I wanted to have a very simple scenario that showed people what the City of Arches was all about. This is called Golgoron Arises. And I'm going to spoil the scenario here. So if you're planning on playing through the scenario, you probably don't want to listen to this part. It is a very simple, 2-page scenario. And the intention is to show people what this city is about, get the characters involved, introduce them to some NPCs, and sort of start the ball rolling. It is, I think, a fantastic, I wrote it myself, so of course it's fantastic. Fantastic quick scenario that you can literally run in an hour, right? 6 first level characters, you could run through this in an hour. It's really one encounter, but it's an encounter that kind of shows you what the city is about. And the scenario is the characters are sitting around at a bar or sitting around at a coffee shop in the City of Arches enjoying their day when Garland Willowmane, the head of the Archkeepers, comes up and says, I need your help. There is an arch that's about to open. We become aware that this arch is going to open. We don't know what's coming through. Whatever it is, we want to greet it and treat it the same way as we treat anybody through the arches. But sometimes things come through that aren't really that nice. So I usually like to have some members of the Golden Knights with me, who are like the knights of the area. I normally have Golden Knights, but I can't get them in time. Can you back me up? Just stay here, be calm, right? Our intention is to give them the basket, tell them that they're safe, tell them that everything is good, and just greet them, right? That's the goal. But just in case sometimes things go bad, I need some backup. And the character's like, yeah, sure, we'll help you out. So she says, great. She goes up to the archway, explains everything that's going on. And then the arch opens up and it's like a roaring engine to hell, right? It's this boom, this huge blast comes out and sturges come flying out and the sturges start attacking everybody. They're attacking civilians. They're attacking Garland Willowmane. They're attacking the characters and the characters now have to fight off these sturges, right? The sturges are awful. While they're fighting off the sturges, they might notice that there's like a shady creature, a shady cultist in the shadows who comes out with a knife to attack Garland Willowmane and kind of knocks Garland Willowmane down and might stab Garland Willowmane, not killing her, but like stabbing her. So then they got to deal with the cultist that's there. While that's going on, Golgoron arrives. And that is actually, if you want to see what's happening, that's the cover of the book. Golgoron arrives. A horned devil from hell steps through this portal, huge wings, fire burning from his eyes, right? Just like one of the Balrogs, just like the Balrog in Lord of the Rings, comes stepping out with this chain that must weigh like 300 pounds. And it says, I am Golgoron, champion of, I forget. And Garland's like, give him the basket, right? And now one of the characters has to decide, what do we do, right? And a lot of players, so far, I've never had a group that's like, I attack him. But I have had players that are like, Mike, are you seriously throwing a horn devil? Horn devils are CR 15 and we're first level and you're throwing a horn devil at us? I've had that description. But usually one of the players is like, I grab the basket and I run up to Golgoron and I say, I know you're confused. You're okay. You're safe. Everything's going to be fine. You're happy. Welcome to the city. Have this basket. Enjoy some crackers and artisanal cheeses. Take the towel. Go to the baths. Swim. You'll feel better. And Golgoron takes it. Sturges are still flying around. You're killing the sturges, right? Golgoron takes it and he sniffs the cheese. Give it a lick. I'm not so sure about the cheese. Takes it and drops his huge spike chain on the ground, which clatters to the ground, right? And kind of looks around and is like, oh, okay. And he starts heading to the baths, right? And then he figures the surge and Garland says, oh, you did it. Thank you so much. This is great, right? Like, oh, congratulations. And everything's fine. And then the hook is who the cultist was and how did they know that Golgoron was going to be here and what's going on with that? And that sort of feeds into a series of adventures that exists in the end. But that one scenario, I've run that at conventions. It's been really fun. I've run it numerous times now and it was really great. I actually ran it before I had it in the book. I ran that scenario. I was like, this is so great. I mean, again, pitching my own stuff. But I enjoyed it so much, and I thought it was such a great introduction that we made it the official introduction to the book itself. But there are more adventures than just that one. That obviously is just a quick adventure, but it leads right into the others. We have the Obsidian Skull, which is cultists who are opening another archway and summoning something through, this time not so nice. We have Pit of the Vile Prince, where you find you're looking for relics of a previous age that are causing nightmares for people, and Tomb of Rorithex, where you find out that there is a vampire who has been entombed for more than 1,000 years, and you have to decide what you're going to do with the vampire. Then we have these adventure frameworks, and adventure frameworks are sort of like locations that you can build your adventures around. We have Secret of Summervine Villa was one of them. I've run this for a long time. There's a noble's villa where evil cult happenings are going on there. There's actually multiple scenarios you can run here. You can run this kind of location with multiple ins and outs to kind of decide how you want to fit it into your own group. And then the fun bit is once they have defeated whatever the threat is there, that can become a home base for the characters. It even has like how to upgrade your villa with hundreds of thousands of gold pieces worth of upgrades that you can do there. We have another one that we added in later in the development, which was the Infiltration of Bone Spur Keep, which is a whole keep, a multi-layer keep that you can infiltrate. Again, multiple scenarios can take you in and out. It's set outside of the City of Arches, but a fun scenario. I've run this one multiple times. I've actually used this completely independent of the City of Arches, and I've used the maps and the locations of the rooms and stuff like that multiple times in many, many games. So built for a lot of flexibility. So the City of Arches, 160-page source book. It is filled with adventure. It is meant to be a high fantasy city. The city itself is meant to be a place you want to be. The NPCs are NPCs that you want to know and love. And yet there's lots of tremendous adventure to be had that can easily take you through many, many campaigns and many adventures to come. I'm super proud of this book. I love it. I'm hoping it's the kind of book that people will have on their shelves for their whole life. I designed the book and really wanted the book to be an artifact that could exist for the world of RPGs for all time. Like that was my goal. I didn't want just something that fit 5th edition now. That's why it's very lightweight on its mechanics. My hope is that this is a book that you could return to time and time again, run small adventures, run a loose connection of the series of adventures, or run multiple campaigns, all using the City of Arches. So I hope you will check it out. You can pick it up in the Sly Flourish bookstore. You can find links down in the show notes below for that. For those of you who supported the City of Arches, both as patrons when I was developing it alongside patrons, you were getting these small pieces of it for, I think, like 2 years to see the City of Arches being developed. And for those of you who helped support the Kickstarter, I cannot thank you enough for making this project a reality. I could not have done it without you. And I'm super, super happy with the results. I can't be any happier than I am with the City of Arches. And I hope you enjoy it as much as I have enjoyed bringing it to you.